while. At least it feels like it's been a while. I haven't actually like sat down and recorded a video in almost 3 weeks. But I think I got a video out last week, possibly, the Black Girls Rock review. But I am back, and today I'm going to be doing my February wrap-up. But before I start, I have gained a lot of new subscribers in the past couple of months, and I just wanted to thank everyone for subscribing and continuing to watch my videos. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Ashley, and I am the person behind Downright Bookish that creates videos on bookish things and reading. So thanks again for all of the support you guys have given me in the last couple of months. I really appreciate it, and it just inspires me to continue making videos on YouTube. So thanks again for all the support. So let's get started on the books I read in February. So in February it was a shorter month, but I did manage to read 3 books this month, and I'm pretty happy with that because 2 of the books were pretty intense and dense reads. So I feel like I read a lot more than just 3 books. So the first book that I completed in February, which if you watched my TBR challenge from last month will probably come as a surprise, it is Kalahari by Jessica Curry. And this was one of the books that I selected for the TBR challenge. If you don't know what that's about, I have a whole playlist where I have my explainer video and the last 2 videos of the TBR challenge. The TBR challenge for March will be coming out soon, but this was one of the books I picked for February, and I said I probably wasn't going to get to this one, and it was between Number 9 Dream by David Mitchell, Kalahari, and The Uncanny Reader, and I told myself I was going to definitely get to Number 9 Dream and probably get to Kalahari, but I did not expect to get to The Uncanny Reader. I ended up reading Kalahari first, and I kind of read this book pretty quickly at the beginning of February. It was an okay read. I didn't realize when I picked this up, but it's actually like the 3rd book in a series, but the series follows 3 different main characters. So it's a continuous series with like similar plot lines throughout. Like there's this company that is, I think, plays a part in all 3 stories, but the main characters are all different in all 3 stories. So this is actually like technically the latest book in this series. So while you can read this without having read the first 2 books, the ending kind of leaves you with more questions than answers, which kind of was upsetting. Like I really wanted to know more about the end. This book did not really satisfy any of the questions that I had in this book. So basically this book follows a girl who lives on the Kalahari with her father doing research for animals and protecting wildlife, and then for part of a scholarship that they're trying to gain, they have to bring in like 5 students to come live with them and experience their research. And they encounter this lion that is made that is like purely silver, and they discover that there is a virus that is going on that is turning all the animals in the Kalahari silver and like making them go mad and crazy. So we follow them as they're trying to discover what is going on with this virus, how can they stop it, and also running away from these poachers that are trying to kill them because they have knowledge of the virus. So overall, I thought it was a pretty decent read. There was a lot of diversity in the characters, which I was pretty surprised about, and I think you get a lot of depth into the characters as they're going on this adventure. Again, the mystery of this is not really resolved in this story, so you're left with more questions than answers by the end of it. So I wouldn't say that if you're looking for like a standalone, this is something that you would want to go into. I'm not sure if any more books in the series are coming out or what's going on with the series, but I don't think I will continue on just because I wasn't really blown away by this story, and I feel like I would probably have to go on and read the first 2 books in the series. So yeah, it was just a fun read, but not something I would really recommend to anybody unless this is kind of something that would seem interesting to you. But overall, pretty enjoyable. And the next book I listened to on audiobook, I've actually been listening to this book since January, and that is Cleopatra, A Life by Stacy Schiff. And this is it's not a long book, but it's super dense and it's so detailed. I learned so much about Cleopatra, and I really wasn't I just wanted to read it because I've always been interested in Cleopatra, but I've never had like a lot of knowledge about her in general, so I wanted to check this out. It was also narrated by Robin Miles, which is like, she's one of my favorite narrators on Audible, and I had to pick it up because of that reason alone, honestly. I decided to check it out. I don't know a ton about the history during this time other than what I learned in like high school and college. This really brought the time period to life. I learned so much about Cleopatra. The story is so in-depth, but I think Stacey brings a really great personal and creative flair to the work, so it doesn't feel boring or dry when you're reading it or listening to it in my case. I just found it so detailed, and I love that she also does not just follow Cleopatra's life, but she kind of goes into the era as well, bringing up issues that were going on during the time and kind of going into these random like dives into other situations. Like, she talks a lot about contraceptive during the time, what women were using to prevent pregnancy or to induce pregnancy, and it was just an interesting aside that while it's still related to the topic and the story, it was a nice little extra piece to the story that was really interesting and intriguing. And I absolutely loved this story. It goes through her entire life, basically, her relationship with Caesar and Antony, and I was just amazed by how much or how little I actually knew about Cleopatra. Like, I knew I didn't know a lot, but I felt like I knew a lot more. But coming into this and finishing the story, I feel like a lot of what I knew about her before this book is all just speculation and not necessarily fact. And I love the fact that she kind of goes into that in this story, explain what is speculation, explains how the different historians at the time kind of diverged in where she speculates that they put in their own personal bias into it. And I just felt like the research that she did into this book was just fabulous, and I will be definitely checking out her other biographies that she has published. And I just really loved it. So if you're interested in learning more about Cleopatra, I would definitely recommend this book. This has me interested in reading other biographies about her. So if you have any good recommendations for Cleopatra books, please let me know in the comments. This has really sparked like a fascination and interest in learning more about Cleopatra's life. So I would love any more bookish recommendations anyone has. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a really good book to check out. I would probably recommend reading it just because listening to it, it's a little harder to follow because the facts are so dense. I was listening to it on my drive to work every day, and I kind of get distracted, and I would dip in and out of the story a lot. I feel like personally, if I were reading it, I would stay more focused on the book. I plan to buy a hard copy eventually of this and reread it, so yeah, I just really enjoyed it. The next book is also in a similar vein. I read a biography called Renoirs Dancer, The Secret Life of Susan Valadon by Catherine Hewitt, and I received this book in return for an honest review from NetGalley. This book, I believe, came out on February 27th, so it's out in stores now if you want to check it out. This book also was a very dense read, but there's a lot of fact and a lot of like interesting tidbits in this story. I didn't know anything about Susan Valadon coming into this novel, but in school when we were learning about art history, Impressionist paintings were always something I was really passionate about, so I thought this would be a great book to check out to kind of reignite that interest and learn more about the Impressionist era, and this was a great book to start with. This book follows Susan Valadon's life basically from when she was born all the way until her death, and it's just a spectacular book because Catherine Hewitt does a great job of instilling a lot of creativity and bringing life to a lot of the characters. We see the world through Susan Valadon, but we get to see a lot of famous artists like Vincent van Gogh, Renoir, Degas, Picasso, in a light that's just brings so much life to the story. She brings a lot of characterizations to the story that make this biography very interesting, and it kept me going and it kept me reading. At times towards the end it felt a little more dry and more like just retelling a timeline of Susan's life, but I really liked like the first 3/4 of the book. I thought it was very strong and just so interesting how much character she brings into it, but still sticking so much to the facts and the history. The book almost reads more like a historical fiction novel just because of how much character she brings to the story. It sticks to the facts really well, and I absolutely loved it. I think it's really interesting, especially to see the Impressionist era from a female painter's perspective, which I really was interested in looking at. And it's just so interesting to see how difficult her life was and how passionate she was in being a painter and also modeling for very famous painters as well. And all of the relationships that she had with artists and just the different kind of vibe that you get. Like, when I think of this era, I think of women as being very conscious of how people see them, but Susan Valadon just does what she wants, and she's just a very strong female that was just really refreshing to read about and really interesting, and I was definitely interested to learn how her story played out. So if you're interested in Impressionist era paintings, or if you just like French history, I think this is a great book to check out. It's so detailed and it's not boring in any way, so I would definitely recommend it. I absolutely adored it. And I also have a full review on this book on Goodreads. If you want to read that review, I will put a link down to it below as well. Those are all the 3 books that I read in February. It was a really great reading month. I got through a lot of nonfiction this month, which I don't know, I've been really intrigued about like nonfiction lately, so you'll probably be seeing a lot of that on my channel in the next couple of months. I'm just interested in learning more about history in different time periods, and it's been a lot of fun reading books like this, even though they take a little bit longer to finish. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what great books you read in the month of February in the comments below. And also, if you read any of these books and want to talk about them, let me know as well. I would love to hear your thoughts about any of these books. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys very soon. I'll be coming up with my TBR challenge in the next couple of days, so keep a lookout for that. And thanks again. Bye!